Hi there, my name is Rocky, and about a year ago, a little bit more than a year ago, I used to be much more active on YouTube, making videos, and then I kind of stopped. But I had a secret hobby that I was keeping to myself, and I thought, I'm gonna make a video about this, I'm gonna make a video about this. And a year later, in a few months, I decided to actually make that video. This video is about bachata in Astana, Kazakhstan. Here in Kazakhstan, there are three main Latin dances that people learn and dance at parties, and those are salsa, bachata, and kizomba. I am only familiar with bachata. I'm not in the community for salsa and kizomba, so I'm only going to be talking about the bachata community in this video. So what is bachata? Bachata is originally a type of music that originated in the Dominican Republic. It has influences from Cuban bolero, Mexican boleros rancheros, and Cuban son, and it kind of started, I guess we could say, in the mid-1900s in the Dominican Republic. According to Deborah Pancini Hernandez, Juan Luis Huera was the one to popularize bachata music in the Dominican Republic, and he kind of brought it to be accepted in the Dominican Republic and more of the Caribbean islands and Spanish-speaking countries in Latin America. But I would consider that bachata in its form today became more popular in the early 2000s. A notable band that brought it into the international sphere in the 2000s was Aventura, and one of the members who is very well known today, Romeo Santos, the king of bachata as he calls himself. Bachata as a music is based around guitar and drums, but these days there's a lot more instruments and it sounds more pop with the modern music that's coming out. And bachata as a dance style also originated in the Dominican Republic. The original bass steps are a square, but these days in most bachata classes outside of Latin America, you will see the line as the bass step. There are bachata dancers around the world, so it is really international. And it's so international that it's reached Central Asia, it's reached the capital of Kazakhstan, Astana, where I am currently. But I would say that the biggest influence in the bachata community of Kazakhstan is Russia. And we also have teachers from Russia come for the festivals, workshops, and to teach in Kazakhstan. So how did I get into this bachata community and become basically obsessed for a little more than a year? I was at a bar and I met the bar's co-owner, a guy named Magjan, who you will see later, and he spoke fluent English, he was handsome, and he danced bachata. In high school, I was actually interested in bachata music. I listened to Romeo Santos, I listened to Prince Royce. I was like, I am taking this class because it's somebody who speaks English and I can finally have a hobby with other people from Kazakhstan. Turns out that he never spoke English in class. And none of my classes have ever been in English. I'm learning everything in Russian, which if you watch my channel, you know I don't speak it very well. I started with partner or pair bachata. Bachata is usually danced in pairs, but there are two types of classes in bachata in Kazakhstan, and that's pair classes or partner classes and lady style classes. I'm not going to be covering lady style in this video because there are so many lady style teachers in Astana. I could never interview them all, and I'm actually new to lady style. I'm actually not such a fan of lady style in Astana, mostly because a lot of it is like, release your inner femininity, find that goddess inside of you, the divine woman power, which is not something I'm into. If you're into lady style, that's great, but I'm not going to be covering it in depth this time. So the bachata community is quite large in Astana, but how does it maintain its size? The obvious answer is that there are bachata teachers and bachata schools. They hold classes and master classes and workshops. I'm a part of two schools, DK and Unique. And there are a lot of bachata teachers. I decided to interview 7 of them to see what teaching bachata is like and also what they think about the bachata community. So let's have them introduce themselves here.
Меня зовут Дудпаев Ханат, школа называется Бачата Байдака. Моя карьера танцора бачаты началась в 2013 году. С того, что меня пригласили в один из первых клубов Астаны по бачате и сальсе. Руководителем клуба являлся Игорь Суженов. Спустя трехмесячного курса обучения я уже стал преподавателем в его школе. Спустя год я открыл свою школу бачаты, она называлась Decadence Studio. И вот уже на протяжении 10 лет я танцую и преподаю бачату.
Меня зовут Рустам, а моя школа называется RS Dance Project. Я сам начал танцевать социальные танцы, именно бачату сальсу в 2013 году. То есть это, получается, 4-й курс, университет. Меня как-то пригласил друг на мастер-класс, ну и я как-то заинтересовался этим и решил попробовать себя. В целом я уже порядка 10 лет в этих социальных танцах, то есть я как бы и начинал преподавать через полгода после того, как я сам начал, потому что нас тренер прививал к тому, чтобы мы начинали преподавать. Это время как бы за то, что я преподавал, то есть неосознанно как бы делал. В 2017 начал уже прям осознанно, то есть мне хотелось бы научить поделиться своими знаниями и хотелось в корне поменять социальное танцевание самого города.
My name is Gulmira, short name Guma. Guma Yera, it's our school. I dance from my childhood, but I danced hip hop and classic dance. And then it was, I think, maybe 2013 when I came to bachata in Salsa, LA. It was Salsa El Dorado school. Me and Rustam, RS Dance, Deka, TK. When we danced in Salsa El Dorado with Yera, it's my ex-dance partner, we won championship Kazakhstan. And then our teacher proposed own school. And we just opened. It was 2017, I think, yes.
Меня зовут Тугжан, наша школа называется Unique Dance Studio. Танцевать бачату я начала в 2017 году. Пришла на первый урок, была немножечко в шоке от того, что это такой танец. Я думала, что мы сейчас будем учить хореографию, будем танцевать, а это, оказывается, социальный танец, где партнерша просто следует и не знает, что будет дальше. В 2020 году мне пришла идея преподавать. Я вообще очень давно хотела преподавать с детства, потому что я с детства танцую, но мне было страшно. И мне нужен всегда рядом человек, который меня поддержит, даже если он ничего не будет делать, просто поддерживать, говорить, что у меня все получится, я сделаю все, что угодно. Вот. И рядом со мной была моя подруга, ее звали Роза, и я ей предложила вместе преподавать. Она согласилась, и мы вместе открыли эту школу, но, к сожалению, из-за определенных обстоятельств мы разошлись. Сейчас руководителем этой школы являюсь я.
Сәлеметсіздер ме? Есімім Жандос. Қазіргі таңда Unique би мектебіне қатысамын. Және де сол мектепте оқушыларға бачата биін үйретемін. Мен 2021 жылдың қыркүйек айында бастаған болатынмын. Ең алғашқы рет Unique мектебіне келдім. Ол кезде бізде OneFit атты приложение бар болатын. Сол арқылы мен бачата не екенін білдім. Оған дейін бачата би қандай болады, ол қалай биленеді. Және мен басында келген кезде бачата би мен соло деп ойладым. Яғни мен өзім жеке билеймін деп ойлаған болатым. Жұп, яғни парада билейтіндей менде даже ойда болмаған болатын. Ең алғаш сабаққа келдім, ұнады. Ұнай бастағаннан кейін мақсат қойдым. Жекен жылатты сайыстар болатын білгеннен кейін ары қарай өзімді дамытып, қазіргі таңда 1,5 жылдай болып қалды бачата бимен айналысатыныма.
Здравствуйте, меня зовут Ибраев Туремурат Каратович. Я преподаватель студии, своей личной, собственной студии Туре Dance Team. Я пришел на бачату в 2020 году 9 сентября. Начинал с направления бачаты, после переходил на сальсу и кизомбу, но в конце понял, что бачата это прям мое. Почему? Потому что когда я танцую бачату, я просто, как говорится, порхаю. Я основал студию Туре Dance Team 31 января 2022 года.
Всем привет, меня зовут Балкинова Алия Бейбутовна, я преподаю в Туре Dance Team. Я начала заниматься бачатой в 2015 году в Назарбаев университете. Там преподавали студенты, и я просто влюбилась в этот танец. Я начала там заниматься, вскоре там преподавала. Также я обучалась в городе у преподавателей. И вот буквально на прошлом году Туре меня позвал преподавать вместе с ним.
The first question is, what type of person does it take to be a good bachata dancer?
Но прежде всего это дисциплина, потому что дисциплина бьет любой талант.
Допустим, могу отметить качество Жандоса. Я его называла вундеркиндом, потому что он пришел в танцы, он никогда в жизни не занимался танцами. Он практически каждый день тренировался. Если нет занятий, он тренировался дома. То есть у него было упорство, была цель и мотивация.
Төзімшіл адам болу керек, өте креативті болу керек, әрқашанда жаңа білімге құштар болу керек.
Я так думаю, что человеку, чтобы научиться хорошо танцевать бачату, в первую очередь надо поставить цель, научиться танцевать, ну и дальше совершенствоваться.
It's expensive. They have to have money, I think. Yes, resources, yes.
The next question I asked was, what type of considerations do you need to make to be a bachata teacher or owning a bachata school?
Я считаю, что очень важен подход к каждому человеку, потому что у всех разный уровень, да.
Вообще мы смотрим на людей, то есть что они хотят, что людям нужно. Мы предлагаем свои услуги. Если людям не заходит, то мы меняем, мы под них подстраиваемся.
Нам нужно, наоборот, тренерам повышать свою планку, работать над собой, то есть тем самым будет все расти, ученики расти, бизнес расти, прибыль больше будет становиться уже. Чем больше прокачан человек, мне кажется, ну как и везде.
Я считаю, тянутся к таким преподавателям, которые общительные, харизматичные, с кем рядом находиться очень приятно. Я, допустим, на своих уроках всегда стараюсь создавать такую атмосферу дружественную, чтобы не было никаких конфликтов, чтобы все дружили друг с другом. То есть это тоже, я считаю, в каком-то плане пиар, потому что людям это нравится, и об этом узнают другие люди и тоже хотят стремиться в эту компанию.
Должен обладать знаниями в маркетинге, настраивать таргет, привлекать аудиторию, записывать рилсы, записывать сторителлинг. Руководитель должен четко понимать законы республики, потому что то есть какие-то базовые вещи, открыть ИП, платить налоги, работать официально. Дальше он должен обладать психологическими навыками, должен понимать психологию людей для того, чтобы кому-то сказать так, другому сказать так, и выстроить у себя работу таким образом, чтобы школа приносила не только результаты для людей, но и прибыль для тебя, потому что, так сказать, мы живем в материальном мире, и нам нужно зарабатывать.
Additionally, what are the challenges of teaching bachata?
Здесь в плане того, что возрастные уже группы, люди, вот у них подход чуть-чуть такой, что они стесняются больше. То есть нет такого, что они раскрепощены. Ну, как бы мне кажется, это тоже менталитет наш. То есть казахстанский, то есть стеснение, скованность, вот это. То есть когда это пройдет, мне кажется, уже намного лучше будет.
Самая большая сложность при обучении, при наборе людей на бачату – это нехватка партнеров. Это самая большая сложность. Потому что менталитет нашего общества такой, что мужчины не танцуют, что мужчинам зазорно танцевать.
Мы в своем таком мире, вот, а другие, допустим, люди, кто не занимается, для них, допустим, это слишком откровенное, возможно, да, бывает. Ну, у нас такой менталитет.
All people different. When they come to bachata class, their character different. It's not so hard for me as a teacher, but it's take a lot of energy.
Я не скажу, что это сложности. Почему? Потому что я как человек продажи, я понимаю, что с каждым человеком нужно всегда находить общий язык.
I also wanted them to give their own opinion of what the bachata community is like in Astana.
В Астане бачата комьюнити зародилась в 2009 году. Первым, кто привез сюда бачату, был Антон Цой, школа танцев Salsa de Fiesta. Сейчас тусовка насчитывает примерно на регулярных вечеринках 150 человек, примерно около 10-15 преподавателей и школ. Сейчас на данный момент Астана является центром бачаты, именно бачаты в Казахстане, потому что здесь проводятся самые большие фестивали, самые большие мероприятия, мастер-классы, семинары и так далее.
В целом, конечно, если сравнивать города Казахстана, да, то есть, ну, я вижу очень положительные результаты, то есть вне зависимости от количества, да, то есть у нас больше, как бы, ну, больше качества в городе, то есть наши танцоры больше танцуют, как бы, ну, больше опытные, что ли, если сравнивать прям все города.
По мне, так очень дружественная атмосфера, все школы, как сказать, друг друга уважают, сплоченные, мы собираемся на вечеринках, танцуем друг с другом, наслаждаемся танцем, и, ну, в целом очень круто.
Меня это очень сильно привлекает, кстати, социальные танцы, потому что ты здесь можешь очень людей встретить из разных сфер, и все занимаются чем-то определенным. Допустим, ученые могут ходить на вечеринки, бизнесмены, там, госслужащие, не знаю, домохозяйки те же самые, очень разносторонние люди.
And finally, is there competition between bachata teachers?
Вообще конкуренция, конечно, есть, она, в принципе, и всегда была.
Да, и в любом регионе всегда есть какая-то конкуренция среди преподавателей. У меня нету никаких сложностей с этим. Почему? Потому что я каждого преподавателя уважаю, потому что я в свое время, бытность учеником, занимался у каждого человека, у каждого преподавателя, и безмерно рад тому, что они научили меня, и я сам стал преподавателем.
Сұраныс бар жерде әрқашанда бәсекелестік болады. Және де ол бәсекелестіктің болуы керек деп те мен ойлаймын. Өйткені бәсекелестік болмаса, мүмкін Астана жалпы қаласындағы бишілердің деңгейі өспес демеді. Сондықтан да әрине бәсекелестік бар. Яғни зиян келтіретіндей бәсекелестік емес.
Лично для меня конкурентов в городе Астана нет. Это не потому, что у меня завышенное эго, или я супер крутой, или наша школа супер крутая. Нет, потому что я считаю, что все же мы делаем одно дело, и у нас одна задача.
Ну, конкуренция в любом случае будет. То есть, вот что мне не понравилось, да, вот если брать другие города, а в других городах это прям очень сильно прям видно. То есть в нашем городе есть, многие говорят, что у вас как круто, там по прокачам ходят, там ученики хотят там попробовать, здесь попробовать.
Another very important feature of the bachata community are bachata parties. In Astana, those are held from Wednesday to Sunday every week, and they're held by different people. The main organizations or people that host these parties are DK, and that's the Friday party, Rus, which is a weekday or sometimes Saturday, Bota, which is a Sunday party, and Tore used to also have weekend or weekday parties, but since the time of filming this video, Tore actually quit teaching bachata in Astana and moved to the Almaty region for different work. So I didn't know exactly what to do with all the footage I have of him, but I decided to keep him in as a time capsule of bachata at the time that I was filming. And Unique has weekend or weekday parties as well. I would say Friday is the largest party. Bota on Sunday. She has a very good reputation, so a lot of people usually go. A lot of the very good dancers go on Friday and Sunday, so that's a good time for you to go. And the primary activity of these Latino parties is to dance, obviously. There's usually salsa, bachata, and kizomba, but sometimes there's only two of the three or one of the three. But there's also birthday circles and battles. If it's your birthday, you go in the middle and people dance with you to one song. I was actually lucky enough to film 3 birthdays of 3 teachers, and that was Kanat, Rus, and Jendos. And also there are battles. So at Kanat's birthday, there was also a solo battle. You can also dance solo in bachata, and that's mostly footwork and some hand movements, but the battles are really fun too, and I could never. There's also some etiquette or some rules at parties that if you do these things, it means something. So usually the rule is that guys or the leads should ask the follows or the girls. A lead is the person who leads the dance. This is traditionally a man, and the follower is the one who follows in the dance, and that's traditionally a woman. And girls that ask too often, too much, or that are always asking are seen as aggressive or pushy. And I was one of those people at the beginning, but I believe actually if I didn't ask, nobody would have picked me when I was a beginner. So me asking actually helped me improve, even though it was torture for all the people I asked at the time, and probably still now. But usually the guy should ask. But my advice is if you're a beginner, nobody knows you, so nobody's gonna be inviting you, and therefore you'll be standing most of the time. I know a lot of girls that complain that they've been standing their whole party, nobody's been asking them, and that's because they also haven't asked. And there's a lot of girls, there's a lot of competition for dancing with a lead, so you need to ask sometimes. Don't be asking all the time, because then you become like me. But you should be asking sometimes if you want to dance and if you want to improve. Another unspoken rule is that if you dance a lot with one person, you're interested in them romantically. The general unspoken, unsaid rule is if you're dancing with someone 3 or more times in one party, you're dating them or you want something with them. Also, if you dance with someone 2 or 3 times in a row, people will start to think. There is a lot of gossip. I probably only know 1/5 of it because I don't know Russian. But I know a lot of gossip and there must be so much more. I'd also like to say some things that annoy me or things that I wish would happen in the bachata community. One, I wish people wouldn't avoid dancing with certain people at parties. There are some good dancers who, once they realize they're good, they'll actively avoid people they don't want to dance with. And I think sometimes they're kind of being high maka maka or like a little bit stuck up. And I'm still avoided by guys like and they literally avoid my eye contact like it's the plague. And this actually hurts a lot of people. I was hurt at first, but for beginners, it hurts them a lot. And another one of my suggestions, which is connected to a pet peeve, is to not ask the same person again and again if there's a lot of people at the party. You may like to dance with some person, but there's a lot of people who might be waiting, who would like to dance. One time there was somebody who asked me twice, and I said okay. And on the 3rd time, I said to him, try to dance with all of these girls before you ask me again. Only because there's a lot of people waiting. And also I see girls who try to manipulate one guy and dance with him again and again when there's not enough guys to go around. But I wonder about other people's opinions in the bachata community. Now we've come to the part where I ask the people about bachata. And I have my first victim here. Sizin atım kim?
Менің атым Саяжан.
Hi, my name is Jana.
Макжан. Қадырғали.
Карина.
Ермхан.
Аня.
Алибек.
Саги.
Майдана.
When did you start dancing bachata?
Well, that was back in October 2020.
Мен 2019 жылы Леди Стайлға кішкене барғанмын. Одан кейін үлкен үзіліс болды. Содан желтоқсан айында бастадым парныйға барып.
Бачата билеп бастағаныма 1 жыл уақыттай болып қалды.
Actually, I started dancing like 5 years ago. However, actively dancing started like a year ago.
I started at 2020, the end of 2020.
3 жыл болады. Леди Стайлға барып жүргеніме, ал парная бачата билеп жүргеніме 2 жыл болады.
Где-то 1,5 года.
Где-то 2,5 года назад.
2 years ago.
Why do you still dance bachata?
Because bachata gives me freedom from work, from routine, from everyday routine. And also in bachata I feel free. Like I feel free to create.
Өзімнің жақсы көретін ісімді тапқан сияқтымын. Сондықтан бачата билеймін.
I think it's because of the atmosphere.
Для какого-то разнообразия в жизни, когда я танцую бачату, чувствую себя живой. И вот этот эмоциональный connection между двумя людьми, он мне очень нравится. Я люблю давать свою энергию и взамен получать улыбки и признания.
Белсенді өмірді ұнатам, өзім спортпен айналысам, осындай билеп жүргенді ұнатам.
When you're dancing with a partner, what qualities do you like in them?
Most important is emotions, and then it follows the technique, and then everything else. I just need to generally be in connect with that person.
The partner that cares about me.
When she feels your impulse.
Әр қимылды, іс-қимылды өте баяу, нәзік, әдемі жасау.
I think enthusiasm.
Be open-minded, be kind.
Knowledge of the song.
Мне нравится, когда мы даже дышим вместе, и он чувствует мое настроение.
And a controversial question, who's your favorite partners?
I like Жандос, Рус, of course.
Сағи бар, Алдамжар бар, Қадырғали.
Макжан, Нұрхдаулет, Аскар, Жандос, Торе.
First is my partner, her name is Anna. Following that, it's Svetlana, Marjan there. We have Tolkien there, and we have Tokjan there.
У меня особых партнеров нету, которые мне нравятся, но смотрю, как танцуют. Если хорошо, то приглашаю сама или жду, когда меня позовут.
And you might be wondering my answers to the last 2 questions. For me, what I look for in a partner is someone with musicality, good eye contact, and a fun attitude. And my top partners, well, my top 2 partners are Bolat and Jantos. And there are many, many other partners that I like, but I'm afraid If I mention this here, I'm gonna forget some of them, but just think there's a lot of them. I would also like to give my own opinion about the bachata community because I've been in it for a year. Not that I know everything. In fact, some people would say I'm an outsider because I don't really speak Russian, so I can't know everything about the community, but I have some opinions, so I'm going to give them. So in my opinion, the schools are separated and have different vibes. Some schools are more friendly than others. Some schools like to be a bit more posh. Some schools have a bit of a younger vibe. It's all different. I'm gonna say a few controversial things in the rest of this video. I hope no one gets too offended. It's only my opinion.
The people in different schools are varying amounts of friendly. Like I have received a lot more welcoming and friendliness from the girls in the unique school rather than DK. I've had to work very hard to make my friends in DK. There's cliques. I've made my own clique, my own English-speaking clique.
However, I feel like I've learned a lot from DK school and I'm still there and I really respect Kanat as a businessman. And ultimately, people usually end up being loyal to a specific school. Like I'm known as a DK person. People who go to Gumayera are known to be Gumayera people. I'd also like to talk about my own experience in the bachata community a little bit more because the bachata community has been really good for me, but it's sometimes really bad for my mental health. I think, originally a pretty confident person, or I have okay confidence, but the bachata community has really ruined my self-confidence. I realized I'm not that good of a dancer. The first way I can measure this is by people asking you to dance, right? Some guys don't ask me, people don't seem thrilled all the time. When I dance with them, they definitely seem to prefer other people. Another way is
Bota never films me. There's an argument that she doesn't film people who don't pay her because she charges for these. But I know for a fact she films people who are good, which is never me.
But literally, what the heck? As soon as I'm editing this video, Bota starts filming a bunch of what looks to be random people. Like, why do you have to do this in the middle of my editing, Bota? Don't change your tactics now. And that's no shade to Bota. She just has an eye for what looks good. And I don't look good. And the third way to measure this is via competitions. The most popular type of competition is a Jack and Jill, where you basically dance with random partners for different rounds, usually 3 rounds. In the final round afterwards, they'll choose a winner. I practiced 6 to 7 days a week for a month. And I had individual lessons which I paid for. I didn't think I would win. I was certain about that, but I was really hoping I could make it to the finals. I was delusional to think I was good. I didn't even make it past the first round. I was so devastated. And I think this connects to my biggest issue with myself in bachata, is that I compare myself to others, but there are people who don't have to try and are very good in a shorter amount of time, and they become very popular. People love to dance with them, and you can just see that people are so much more excited and happy dancing with them than with me. I want to be good, I want to be skilled, I try hard, but it just doesn't come to me as easily as it comes to other people. And oh my God, I'm gonna cry! And although I have a lot of issues related to self-confidence, self-worth, and my value to others, I think overall bachata has benefited me a lot. The first benefit is obviously exercise. I now exercise like 7 days a week almost, so I think that's pretty good. And probably the biggest benefit to me is getting into a local community. Before I joined bachata, I was in more of a foreigners community. I didn't have a lot of local friends. And because of bachata, now I have a lot of friends from Kazakhstan. I really benefit from that, from feeling involved in a community. And there's a lot of friendly people in bachata. You know, I complained about people who ignore me or only say hello and actually don't want to bond with me, I guess. But there's a lot of people who have gone out of their way to talk to me. There's a lot of friendly people who try to speak English with me, who try to speak Kazakh with me, who even speak Russian to me when I don't understand. And I want to give a shout out to Laila, Jana, Kader, and Sagi. They've been my rocks these past few months of me crying and complaining. They're always there to listen, and they're also there at parties with me to like hang out. They're my like buds. Thank you guys. And there's a lot of other great people too. Thank you to all the other people who talk to me and try to be my friend. to everybody else who I now hate in bachata. And it's very vibrant, active community. And I'm thankful that I found bachata in the end. Thanks, MAGA, I guess. If you know of any other communities in Astana that you'd like to be featured, I'd love to do a deep dive. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Adios.
You keep it rolling, because I'm going to say.
It's size.
Социальный танец, где партнерша просто следует